Hi, this is Dr. DeResti with the Cranial Release Technique, and I wanted to do a slightly different type of a YouTube. I was reviewing some articles about the brain's drainage system. Remember, in 2015, University of Virginia came out, and they were the ones who first found the lymphatic vessels in the dura mater, which we'll cover in a little bit. But I just wanted to review a few things, and this won't be my typical type videos. This is a little more scientific. I'm not going to go too deep, but we're just going to have some fun, and I'll leave you all these references so that you can follow up on your own and dive as deep as you'd like. This is an article that came out July 19, 2022, the Yale School of Medicine, the brain's drainage system in 3 dimensions. And they talk about how the brain actually detoxifies itself. And they go through how the lymphatic vascular system controls immune surveillance, waste elimination within tissues and organs. The lymphatic vessels are absent from the central nervous system, so they're not in the brain, but present at the CNS borders, the central nervous system borders, the meninges that protect the brain and the spinal cord. I had this highlighted. I don't know why it disappeared, but the meningeal lymphatic system affects neurological diseases in many mouse models. Now, they did this paper, they did experiments on mice and on humans, and they're talking about Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis, brain tumors, and other conditions. Because of its involvement in many diseases, the meningeal lymphatic system has attracted a lot of therapeutic interest, explains Laurent Jacob, PhD, the first author of the study and a member of the Paris research team. And they talk about how does the brain detoxify itself, and how does this next topic that you may never have heard of, but this is what's going on out there, the glymphatic system, glymphatic, GL. And this is right out of Wikipedia, the glymphatic system. And when we go back down, pathologically, neurodegenerative diseases such as ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and Huntington's disease are characterized by a progressive loss of neurons, cognitive decline, motor impairments, and sensory loss. So I don't know if you've ever dealt with patients with these problems. It's a terrible thing to see. Collectively, these diseases fall within a broad category referred to as proteinopathies due to the common assemblage of misfolded or aggregated intracellular or extracellular proteins. According to the prevailing amyloid hypothesis of Alzheimer's disease, the aggregation of amyloid beta, which is a peptide normally produced in and cleared from the healthy young brain, into extracellular plaques drives a neuronal loss and brain atrophy that is the hallmark of Alzheimer's dementia. Although the full extent of the movement of the glymphatic system in Alzheimer's disease and other neurodegenerative disorders remains unclear, researchers have demonstrated through experiments with genetically modified mice that the proper function of the glymphatic clearance system was necessary to remove soluble amyloid beta from the brain interstitium. So the long and short of it is, and you can read this on your own, and I'll leave you all the links. The long and short of it is there's a ton of research going on right now about how to optimize brain function. And again, it was 2015, University of Virginia, where they discovered this, the anatomists discovered the lymphatic vessels were in the dura mater. So again, this is out of the Cleveland Clinic's website about the lymphatic system. And again, I'll put all these links down below for you. What is the lymphatic system? The lymphatic system is a network of tissues, vessels, and organs that work together to move a colorless, watery fluid called lymph back into your circulatory system, your bloodstream. Some 20 liters of plasma flow through your body's arteries and smaller arterial blood vessels and capillaries every day. After delivering the nutrients to the body's cells and tissues and receiving their waste products, about 17 liters are returned to the circulation by way of the veins. The remaining 3 liters seep through the capillaries and into your body's tissues. The lymphatic system collects the excess fluid, now called your lymph, from tissues in your body and moves it along until it's ultimately returned to your bloodstream. Okay, so that extra 3 liters of fluid, which we're going to discuss in just a moment, I want to just touch again on the dura mater, because if there's no lymphatic vessels directly in the brain, then how is the brain clearing these waste products? And again, back to University of Virginia, they're clearing it through the lymphatic vessels, which is in the dura mater. And if you recall back from school, the dura mater, Latin meaning tough mother, this tough mother, the strongest tissue in the body, covers the brain, covers the spinal cord, is part of the periosteum of all 22 of the cranial bones, and then attaches at the base of the occiput, attaches at C1, C2, C3, and then sort of freely floats down, covers the spinal cord, reattaches into the sacrum, and blends into the periosteum of the coccyx. So how do we get to this dural lymphatic vessels? Well, I think that's where what I do comes in. But before I come into what I do, most of you are probably familiar with Lisa DeFalco and the manual lymph drainage and MLD Institute that she runs. So how do you address these 3 liters that are sort of floating around in the body that is kind of just pooling in different areas? And if you haven't looked into MLD, manual lymph drainage, I would strongly recommend you give Lisa's organization a call. The website, as you could see here, is mldinstitute.com. The phone number is there as well. And again, I will link this down in the show notes below. The missing link, I think, is how do you get to the dura? You can't get to it from the outside because it's covered with bone. We have the 22 cranial bones. So how do you get underneath there, and how do you get the dura to expel and to remove the fluids that are in the lymphatic vessels within the dura? Well, the thing that most anatomy texts don't discuss is that these 22 bones of the skull remain separate. They never fuse together, and they never fuse together because they need to move. And it's my opinion that because of this movement, which is termed the primary respiratory mechanism, that was the term that was given to this movement by the discoverer of cranial work, Dr. William Sutherland, an osteopath over 100 years ago. The beauty of the cranial release technique is we are going to optimize function and movement of these 22 bones with virtually a very gentle 1-minute technique. By doing that, that's going to stimulate the movement and enhance the movement of the cranium, enhance the lymph drainage within the dura mater, enhance overall central nervous system function, and enhance health. Because remember, back at the end of the day, according to Gray's Anatomy, the central nervous system controls and coordinates all functions of the body. So what led me into cranial work was, here I was as a chiropractor working on the spinal bones, helping a lot of patients, but missing the main player of the nervous system, the brain, the 80% of the nervous system which is in the skull, which you can't get to unless you're going to address the cranial movement, the primary respiratory mechanism as it's termed, and that's where cranial release technique came from. So I'm just going to wrap this up by showing you my website, the cranial release technique website at cranialrelease.com. Feel free to go in there, click all the buttons, watch the videos. I have a YouTube channel. We have different programs. The online training program is the one that we're offering right now, so feel free to take a look at that. But I think that at the end of the day, I think the combination of the cranial release technique and the manual lymph drainage, as taught by Elisa DeFalco, is an absolute game changer. So it could be used as a wellness type protocol, something that's done on a regular basis to maximize function. And I thank you for your time for watching this. Again, I will include all the links down below. This is Dr. Duresti with the Cranial Release Technique, wishing you a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all down the road. Thanks so much for watching. Be well.